welcome to Red Carpet with. I'm your host, Raja Azuni, and today we have a very special guest. Some of you may still recognize him as a host of a morning TV show not too long ago. And this man actually sports a very colourful character. From a career in the judiciary, this former magistrate had crossed over into the print industry, heading the editorial teams of men's magazines like FHM and New Man. And from print, he progressed to new media, but probably not before writing some killer lyrics for Datuk Siti Nurhaliza, which made it to the finals of AJL, mind you. So, and all that could very well be just the tip of the iceberg. So without further ado, let's welcome executive producer, scriptwriter, and marathon runner, Muhammad Zulkifli Abdul Jalil, otherwise known as MZul. Hi, Zul.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the kind introduction. I don't know how long it took for you to write all that down, but yeah, thanks very much.
Well, all true, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's good to see you again, of course.
Yes, it's great to see you.
Yes, you know, MZul was part of the ABN family not too long ago, until about February this year, before he decided to move on to pursue his dream of filmmaking.
Yes.
Right? But before we get into that, so Zul, from a magistrate to the editor of FHM.
We're going,
how did that happen?
We're going a long way back, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We do that on this show.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I've always had like two passions. One is the law and the other one is writing. And actually both of those passions came from the same source, which is television. I don't know if you remember, there was a show called Paper Chase.
Oh yeah.
When I was much younger.
Yeah.
So Paper Chase is about a bunch of law students. So I thought that was interesting. And then there was LA Law, and I think a lot of people from my generation took up law partly because they watch LA Law, right? Because it's so glamorous and it's so exciting and all that.
Yes.
But I've always had a passion for writing as well. So I took up law, and after I graduated, I joined the judiciary, and I was posted in Sarawak actually. So first Kuching, and then I was in Miri, and I was posted as a magistrate. And people still don't believe that actually magistrate is an entry-level position.
Yes.
So it's quite a big task. I mean, you're straight away up there, and you're presiding over cases and sending people to jail and all that, and you're still like 23, 24, but that was the experience that I had. So so that was the beginning of the magistrate days.
All valuable, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, but growing up, did you ever envision, I mean, you've done quite a number of things. I think in my introduction I said all that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more.
Yeah.
But did you ever envision that you were going to do all those things?
Not really. I mean, when most of us was growing up, I mean, if we're from the same generation, it's always engineer, doctor, lawyer, and all that, right? But so law was part of it, but I didn't really know. I mean, like I kind of, this is great, but I want to pursue other things as well. And it was a big decision to make actually, because once you're in the judiciary, if you're in it, then you're in it for life. You can make a decision to be in it for life, or if you want to branch out, then when do you do it, and then would you get the support of friends and family and all that. So I decided, because I had other opportunities at that point in time, as you mentioned just now, writing lyrics, because I started writing before I joined the judiciary, and it was a matter of, if I were to be to maintain in the judiciary, I couldn't pursue all this other stuff, because you're not supposed to be up there on stage and and all that.
It looks like you haven't looked back since.
Well, I mean, there's no
turning back.
There's no turning back. So after the judiciary was a good 4.5 years, 5 years, I made the big decision to leave and just see where I could go with the other passion that I had. So I joined a men's magazine, Men's Review at that time, and at the same time, and before that I was writing freelance. So I wrote quite a number of articles and stories for a lot of publications, and then I joined Men's Review, and I always thought that I'd be in a men's magazine kind of environment, where a bit more macho and you know and
I
all
can
that
just
stuff.
imagine.
Yeah, and continued with my lyric writing as well. So and that was fun. I mean, that was from, from one totally different kind of environment and the people that you with and all that to, somewhat crazier
Yeah.
environment around me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think you have another passion. I know you're into fitness, right? So you love sports, played some basketball, football, and later on started running and taking part in marathons. In fact, you just mentioned that you just came back from Kuching.
Yes,
Right?
the Kuching Marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you say marathon, it's actually the full marathon,
Yeah, sure. I was just
42
going to ask you if
kilometers.
you've
But I
completed.
did not run 42 kilometers, especially not after Bulan Puasa,
Yeah.
where there was no training at all. So it was just the 10K for me.
Right,
Plus
right.
now I'm more into the weights rather than doing cardio.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so the training
Yes.
has changed a bit.
Yes,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, talking about the weights, I think that's a fairly recent
I don't know where
development,
this is
hasn't
going.
it? Kan? What inspired you to start bodybuilding? I don't know if you can call it that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, whoever lift weights is it is bodybuilding. It's
Yeah.
just that, how serious you want to take it. If you're joining competition, then that's a different thing. But if you're only doing for yourself, then it's not as intense. But it actually started not the fitness thing, but it actually started like 3 years ago when I started this thing called Larian 40 Taman. I think maybe a lot of people who's into running remembers
Yes,
that.
yes.
When I was still a talk show host at that
Yes,
time, I
because-
started Larian 40 Taman,
Yeah.
where I ran at 40 different parks with just about anybody.
Yeah.
It was a community running project.
Yeah.
So I started that.
Right.
So I would usually announce it on social media platforms that, hey, we're running here with a bunch of other friends, and then people would come. So the idea was actually to encourage a more healthy lifestyle for everyone, and
Yeah.
running is a good way to start actually, because there's not much investment in it. You just need a good pair of shoes, and then you just come, and then it's a lot of fun, just run. So I started that 40 parks, which took me to all the states around the country and also overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
So much so that people said, "Hey, that's the guy who loves to run, isn't it?"
Yeah,
When they see you
yeah.
on
I mean,
TV.
people were drawing comparisons to Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is
Yes.
it's not a real person, but yeah, because he ran. I don't think I
He
ran.
also did Elvis.
Yeah?
So do you do Elvis?
I mean, yeah, is that nah, yeah, not I couldn't run as fast because in I just touched 40 at that point in time. But the point was to encourage people and also to introduce the local neighborhood parks. It was great because there's so many good parks in the country, but people are not aware. So when they actually go there and then make new friends, and then they say, hey, this is like a great place to run, and from there on it became a regular thing. Yeah. That, and then after that,
Yeah.
somehow I hit the gym to lose more weight, and then I said, hey, I could do this, and and look better in the process. So
Yeah.
it's the motivation is when you
Yeah.
wake up and you look in the mirror and
Yes, and you're on your
Hey,
way,
you-
aren't you?
you look.
If anybody has been following Zul on Instagram, I think they'd agree.
Well, you're very kind. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, but trying my best. But the the toughest part is actually the diet. I mean, it's not only like the workout and the running, but it's also the diet, because we live in a country where there's so much good food and good friends who would encourage you to eat more all the time, right? Yeah, so that's
Yes.
the toughest part. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we want to get down to business,
Okay.
right? Because you've written a couple of screenplays and have even attended the Central Film School in London. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, after I've always been a writer,
Yeah.
feature writer, and all that. But I took up screenwriting like a few years back, reading books, and just having a discourse with friends and who were into it as well, and started writing. But I've always believed that you need some sort of formal education as well. But I can't afford to go on a 3-year course or whatnot. But I did go for an intensive filmmaking course at the Central Film School in London. And thank you MDEC for giving me the grant to do that, and my employers at that time giving me the time off. So that was a wonderful experience, and that really enhanced, my whatever knowledge that I had about the craft, and boosted my confidence as well. Yeah, so that was great. At the same time, I was writing actually. So the first one was Mamak Cupcake.
Yes.
And then there's another one which is Showdown the movie, which should be coming out next year.
Okay, all right. So then, one of your films, Mamak Cupcake, will be released at the end of the month, and that's a comedy for sure, right? With a title like that, I mean, how can it not be?
I mean, yes. I mean, that's the point of it. I mean, when we actually before even started writing it, right, there was the title.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there because we have to go for a short break. And stay tuned because we'll have more from MZul right after this.
Red Carpet. Red Carpet.
Hi, welcome back. You're watching Red Carpet with, and today we have MZul, executive producer and scriptwriter. And just before the break, we were talking about your soon-to-be-released film, Mama Cupcake. So that's where you wrote the screenplay, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we understand that you actually started work on the screenplay several years ago. Okay, so was that your first?
Well, no, actually it was my second.
Okay.
Actually, so you're right. It was a few years back, and the original idea for the story was Encik Ahmad Izham Omar.
Okay.
I think most of your viewers will know who he is.
Sure.
And we worked together on the first script, which is still in development.
Okay.
So
All right.
these things take a lot
Take
of
time.
years actually.
Yeah.
So, and on Mamak Cupcake, he said that he came up with the title because he had this premise of two worlds colliding and all that. So I said, hey, this is very interesting, and immediately, I mean, it's a comedy, right? I mean, when you say Mamak Cupcake, it's a comedy. It's about a guy, in this case of Mamak descent, who's inheriting the Mamak business from his father. But of course, as the title indicates, he dreams of being a cupcake baker, a world famous cupcake baker. Hence,
Something more.
Yes, hence the two worlds collide, because he has another brother who is a hip hop star, or hip hop star wannabe.
Right.
So the father has lost all hope on the brother. So he's carrying the hopes and dreams of the family of continuing with the business. So, but at the same time, he has other dreams. So I think the whole conversation that we had, I mean, I started doing something else, and then I wanted to do something else. I think a lot of us have been through this situation as well. Not sometimes you want to be something else, and then your family has had this idea of you should be this and not that. So where do you find that compromise? How do you make everyone happy, or is it possible to make everyone happy? So that's basically the premise. I mean, it is a comedy, but as you peel away, you find the story of hopes and dreams and family values and all that. So, but all this wrapped in comedic situations, because I think comedy is the genre where it's most accessible to people, and it is a family film. So it shouldn't be that complicated in trying to send a message across. So hence, it is a comedy.
Okay, all right. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. How long did the whole process take, and before it saw the light of day?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was I think two years plus back, and then we went through many drafts and revisions. Actually, if you're a budding writer, here's an advice that other writers gave you as well. Writing is rewriting, especially when you're writing a film script, right? So you might think that the first draft is already good enough because it's your story. But actually, once you give it and let others read, they might say, hey, what about this? What about that? And even if all creative people would have that ego where, this is my thing,
Sure,
so I know best. This comes from my heart. But then the reality of it is that there's always room for improvement. So you should be open to criticism. You should be open to suggestions and all that. So hence it took like there was 8 drafts. I mean, halfway through I was like, well, these guys, these producers, they don't know a thing about this story. This is my story, and all that. But it's a learning process as well. And at the end of it, it took quite a while, and then it was shot like 1.5 years ago. Actually, it was
Shooting began in October 2012.
Well,
wrong?
yeah. So almost 2 years.
Yeah,
actually.
that's right.
Yeah.
So that took a while.
Yeah, that took a while because the producers want it to be, at the right time as well, to be released at the right time as well. So it's been a long way, especially for the actors, for everyone involved, and the actors are very, very popular. Siti Saleha and Shaizi Sam, and their fans have known about this project for quite a while. So they've been bugging me as well, saying when is the film coming out, because they want to see that combination of Sam and Saleha, and they like the premise of the film. And once the trailer was out, they were like, "Oh, it's so colorful, it's so interesting, and it looks funny." So they've been bugging me as well. Yeah. So, but for me, it's like it's my baby as well.
Yes.
So it's been a long wait as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so being your baby and all, how involved were you in the making of the film?
Well, I was lucky that the producers were quite accommodative, and even the director, Ming Jin, he's such a cool guy, and we had discussions on the script before filming started. So I was there actually. I was on set for most of the days. Because I was learning as well, because I just came back from film school at that time, and I wanted to learn the
And
whole
all
process.
excited too.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
excited. So,
Yeah.
so this is how you do it, and all that. And Ming Jin was very accommodating, and he in fact allowed me to not direct, but talk to some of the actors about the characters and the lines and all that. And one particular scene, because there are quite a number of interesting cameos in this film. There's Adi Bano, and then there's Chef Ismail. Then there's also legendary football commentator Hasbullah Awang. And AG. I mean, it's a cupcake film, but because it's also like a sports film, so we wanted to make it like fun, have Hasbullah Awang to commentate on what's going on. So that was a moment where I got to talk to Datuk Hasbullah Awang and AG and just explain to them what was going on, and the feel of the lines and all that. So that was a great experience. And I mean, if you're a fan, local sports, Hasbullah Awang is the name, and
sure.
I mean, can you just imagine him commentating on a cupcake making competition?
Okay, yeah. Sounds like a race, doesn't it? Okay, so how was this experience different from anything else you've ever done before?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's film. You asked me, when I was younger. Actually, I think it was in Sekolah Rendah where you had to put like 3 different cita-cita, and actually I put film director. Now that I think about it, I put film director. Well, it's not exactly, but working on film. So it was really like a great experience, and I was fortunate that everyone on set, the actors, even the crew were just amazing to work with. So that was great. I mean, it's a new experience for me, but it's not complete until you see it on the big screen.
Okay.
So that's happening soon. So
Yeah, very, very soon.
Yeah.
But okay, before that again, which is your favorite part of the film and why?
Wow, it's so it's
So
really
many?
hard. Yeah, because
Too many to tell?
Yeah, but I think the competition itself. I mean, the film is he wants to be a cupcake baker, so he wants to prove his worth. He enters this national cupcake competition. Imagine the best cupcake bakers from all across the land coming together, and he's there as well. And that's the competition, because in 1 hour, the competitors have to make like 3 different cupcakes. So you'll see, and then at the end, you'll see what kind of cupcakes he actually makes. So that's So
sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the big surprise at the end.
Okay, all right. Okay, now, this is the first film that's going to be released from you, right?
Yeah.
That's actually going to hit the screen.
Yes.
So, what are your hopes for this film?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
just for people to go and watch. I mean, As I mentioned, Mamak Cupcake, and people can when they watch the trailer, they know it's a comedy. It's a family comedy. So my hope is that people would go and watch and tell their friends about it. And at the end, I mean, nowadays, you can interact with just about anyone. So.
Yeah.
At the end of it, if you have comments, you can always tweet me at MZul, but don't be too harsh. Constructive criticism
Alright,
is welcome,
okay.
because we always want to do better. But I can just say that all of us really put our hearts and soul into it. So hopefully everyone would enjoy it.
Okay, well, don't forget to catch the movie on August 28th. That's premiering next Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much, MZul. That's all the time we have today. Okay, it's been great catching up with you. And of course, for the latest updates, go to redcarpet.net.my and don't forget to watch Red Carpet with every week as we bring you interesting interviews with celebrities.